Yo, 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 what up, Internet? My name is braV, and this is episode 33 of I Can't Produce a Podcast, and I am stoked as always. That is the intro. Split bass. How are you doing today, my friend? It is a pleasure to have you here, and I'm in love with your music, dude. I spent all morning listening to it and just like wow, dude. Normally I have more tracks to single out, but your whole discography is absolutely like fire. So fucking, I am so stoked to have you on the show, and I got some questions for you today. How are you doing today?
Good, bro. Thank you so much. That means a lot. Yeah, I'm so happy to be here and on the podcast. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, of course, man. Context for the audience: you and I met at a G Jones concert through a mutual friend. I had a great
Yes.
that was an awesome show. You and I were vibing the whole time, and I had no idea how sick your music was. You know, we were just homies going to G Jones. So, um,
Yeah, that was dope. When was that? That was
it was a
last
while
year,
ago. Yeah, last
or
November, I think, or something.
yeah, that was cool. Yeah, Smiley was here visiting. Yeah, that was dope. That was a dope show. G Jones always killing it, honestly.
Always murderous with the beats. G Jones, is he one of your biggest inspirations?
Maybe a while ago. I'd say my biggest inspirations are Shades, Vector, OK Jake, Stash, Mythum.
Well,
Yeah,
those are
that
some
those.
great options, for good inspirations.
Yeah, but yeah, G Jones music, I definitely respect it. Maybe it makes some inspiration makes its way into my music, but definitely nothing in like intentional wise.
The reason I said that was because your branding with the black and white and the kind of the split eye opening, that reminds me a lot of his art style. So that was kind of where that question came from.
Yeah, that is true. Honestly, when I came up with brainstorming the logo and everything and the name for the color, I definitely thought of G Jones, that's for sure.
Word. Yeah. He's got a very unique and distinguishable graphic or kind of branding, and you do as well, kind of by proxy. I did want to say that too. I mean, I'm also a fan of the black and white branding. If you couldn't tell from the I Can't Produce stuff, it's pretty
Yeah.
simple, like easy to get down with.
Yeah, I agree. I still post like everything. I kind of want to make my Instagram mainly black and white, but sometimes pictures are just better in color, so it's kind of weird. It's hard to stay consistent with black and white, especially when you're trying to post like videos and pictures on Instagram and like you want to color code it that way. It's a
I
little difficult.
I agree, and I think it's a little skill based challenge to kind of keep a black and white branding in this space where everything is kind of very colorful and creatively explosive. You know, um, I feel like it's very tempting to go in a really colorful direction.
For sure. Yeah, and unless like the photo is so you get a photographer to shoot a show, sometimes they'll shoot some like process photos in black and white. So then they come out good, but sometimes putting filters on them just makes it like too dark or you're like, this looks better in color. So it's kind of where I'm at with that. But if I could, I totally would make my Instagram and everything black and white, but still getting there.
Word. So the first thing I want to ask you is kind of how long have you been making music? Your SoundCloud is pretty fresh, man. I mean, I couldn't find a release that was further back than 2 years, and for the quality that you're putting out, and for the amount that I was dancing, like, I mean, dude, you this project is really solid, and I just kind of I'd really like some insight on, what kind of planning went into this before you decided to launch the Split project? Because it seems very put together, and more so than, I mean, even some of the bigger names I've interviewed have, it's kind of been a slow roll. This one is just kind of out the gate, fire after fire.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, so totally hasn't been just split. Like I've been producing for about 6 years, probably at least 6 years. I've been doing it every single day consistently for 2 to 3, I'd say like almost 3. Um, but I actually had a project before SPLiT called Crucifix with a Z, and it was at the time I was into like tear out and rhythm. It's not really what I was putting out. I was just kind of putting out harder bass music like I do now, but definitely didn't sound the same. Definitely worse. But yeah, so basically I fell off of that project and I actually thought I wasn't gonna I honestly didn't know what was gonna happen with music anymore. And then I went through this outpatient program because I was in a really bad place, and I came up with a new project called SPLiT. That was in early 2022. And then I worked with a visual artist and got this logo done. Took a little bit, had to take photos of my face so he could outline them and everything, and then got that done. And I planned on launching SPLiT when I moved to Denver, which I moved to Denver what, July of 2023. I wanted to move October, but ended up being July. I ended up launching a SPLiT song, the project, in September of 2022 or October. Those songs that I put out originally don't really speak to my sound anymore, so they're private on SoundCloud, but they are still on Spotify and Apple Music.
Gotcha. And where are you originally from, my friend?
So I'm born and raised in New York. After that, I went to Texas to go to college. Kind of dropped out, moved back home, and decided to move to LA to go to Icon Collective. Lived out there for 3 years, almost 3 years, and then moved back home and planned my move out to Denver.
Oh wow. So are you an Icon alumni? Did you finish that program?
Yep. Yeah, yeah. So I'm an Icon alumni. I did a 12-month program there. I started in October of 2020, I believe, or yeah, I think October of 2020. Either when I started or graduated. I think that's when I started though.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it might have. I think Icon's a little less popular nowadays. But what was your experience there like, and what what would you say you got from that, or would you recommend it? Would you do it again? Do you think what do you think about Icon?
So I totally loved Icon. I've never it was in person, so I've never been in a more healthy and like healthy environment to grow. Just seeing everyone around you producing, it was honestly a surreal experience just being in an environment like that. But people say like, you could learn everything they teach you off YouTube videos for sure. I think you're paying to connect with people and meet people, but unfortunately, I just didn't make the right connections there. A lot of people quit after doing Icon, and only a couple people really like make it right away. So they say a lot of connections come out of it, but I didn't really get those connections.
Do you mean a lot of
Whether I
people
was not,
quit pursuing music?
yeah, a lot of people that I knew at that school definitely just stopped making music, or maybe they have another project I don't know about. But a lot of people that does happen to a lot of people. I'm not sure why, but when I moved after Icon, I moved into a house with other producers, and I was super hyped. It was people who graduated the year before, and I moved into this house, and just so happened that almost two of three of them weren't making music anymore, and they like quit, and it was really discouraging. Especially one of them was the person who actually taught me, who got me into producing. Um, so that was pretty sad. But one of them moved on to like like very instrumental music, but they all made like dubstep before that. So it was a little weird. But yeah.
I've had a similar experience with one of my biggest inspirations not doing music anymore. That it's a tough place to be in. I'm specifically referring to my mom. She's one of the most talented musicians I've ever met, and she doesn't practice. Or sorry, I mean she doesn't like do music really anymore. She's kind of got various other interests. So I can see how that can be very discouraging. It's something that I had to overcome. Did you? How did you overcome that? You clearly did. Clearly kept on
Yeah,
pushing.
yeah. I'm not really sure. I kind of try to turn it around and use it as more inspiration. I try to not let it affect me that like the person who I was who literally like if I didn't meet that person, then I wouldn't have been doing music. Like probably not. I don't think I ever would have discovered Ableton. But I'm not really sure. I think I just pushed through it and try to not let it affect me so much, but it definitely wasn't a good environment to be in at the time. I have nothing against those guys, but it was just a big letdown and surprise moving into somewhere where you thought like everyone's gonna be producing collaboration all the time, and then it was just like none of that.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Do you feel surrounded by kind of like, or do you feel surrounded by music and creativity again? With kind of where you're at now.
So, yeah, I think definitely. I Since moving to Denver, I've definitely been super creative and productive and motivated, especially. Um, Everyone out here that I meet, I'd say close to half of the people, like just random people, I meet them and they'll just like bass music. It's pretty crazy.
It's a wild
So
time to be
yeah,
alive.
it's so crazy. It's honestly unreal. But that's what I was really what I expected when I moved out here, and I totally got all of that. All the concerts all the time. I try to hit as many as possible, but they definitely bring a lot of inspiration. It's definitely cool being out here compared to like New York. I'd actually like to live in New York, but they just don't have as many bass music shows like at all. There's definitely an underground scene there, but it's definitely a lot smaller. Here, there's a pretty huge underground scene, and people are put on of all levels, which I've noticed that it was of Denver's a very great place to live if you're a bass music producer DJ, but it's also like a bad place because there's a lot of competition. So even if you're killing it, then there's just so many other people who are also killing it. And, when shows come here, like tours, it's very difficult because there's just so many people who could potentially be on these lineups.
I
So
feel
it's
that.
definitely harder here, but
I
easier at the same time.
in the words of Huck Joris, you're never a stone throw away from a more talented music producer than you.
Yeah,
It
I
seems,
agree with that.
and then I even I submitted a mix for Bog Dog. They were playing a show at Cervantes, and they had a guest mix competition for their opening slot, and I worked really hard on a mix and I submitted it. And I thought, obviously I was hyping myself up, so I thought I was going to get it. I didn't get it, but obviously like the dude that did, Max Cloud Forest, and I love that dude, so I was just super happy that he got it. And it was just another example of, yeah, I didn't get it, a really, but another super talented homie did, which, and I'm stoked for it. There's so much good, um yeah, there's a lot of creativity and a lot of talent in Denver. And why do you think that happened? I have no idea personally. Why Denver?
Yeah, I've thought about this before. I actually did I was taking this English class and I wrote a paper about why Denver's the considered the bass capital, and Through like research and stuff, it kind of came down to the venues that are here. Mainly, Red Rocks puts on a lot of bass music shows, so it brings a lot of people. Also, like the location of Colorado, definitely brings a lot of people here. But couldn't come up with a set reason or being like, oh, that's it. Why so many people are gathered here. Besides just shows, yeah.
One of my intuitions was that the drug laws, as a matter of fact, magic mushrooms being
Yeah.
decriminalized. And I wondered how much of a role that played, but I never did any actual research. Like it's just intuition.
Yeah, definitely weed too, because was California or Colorado first to uh legalize medically weed?
I believe it was California being the first
California,
for
okay.
medicinal, and then Colorado was the first for recreational. But I think I'm definitely right about the first one. Not so sure about the second one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely has a lot of people living out here, and I guess, but it doesn't explain why so many people would like bass music, you know?
Yeah, but what's interesting though is this, the other big genre out here is bluegrass and like there's a lot of country and it's such a
True.
crazy like schism, like if I'm not if like you meet someone in Colorado in the wild, they either like bass music or bluegrass, I swear to God.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of bluegrass fans. Bluegrass would be like Grateful Dead, right? Or no?
That's jam bandy bluegrass,
Oh,
I
that's
think.
jam bandy.
Yeah, but which is also huge out here. But I
What
think blue
about like, wait, yeah, so what would bluegrass be?
I don't like oh god, is his name Billy Strings? Like Billy Strings, essentially, but like more folky.
Interesting. Okay, I'm not, I think I've heard that name. I'm not too into it though.
I'm not really into it, but like it was one of the things. So I'm from Maryland, DC originally. I think that's how you know the TBH collective. Um,
Right, yeah.
so I'm from that area, and out there, like just it's so different from out in Colorado. I mean, no one wears cowboy boots or cowboy hats, unironically, and on top of that, like I just didn't even I legitimately did not meet a bluegrass fan until I came out here, and I think it's just kind of we're out west.
Yeah, yeah. Um, there's definitely, so I met TBH, I met Nika and
Shout out
uh
Nika, shout out
Nick.
TBH.
Yeah, I met, that was at G Jones.
That was where you met them the first time.
Yeah, that was where
Oh,
I met
nice.
that, they were there, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was they invited me to
Okay.
that show and then that's how we met, you and me. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so you knew them already.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool, cool.
So the founder of TBH Collective, his name is Forgotic. I believe he and Nika both started it originally, and I took him to his first bass show, and I'm super proud of that.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's the, yeah, that's always good getting someone into anything and they end up liking it. It's a good feeling.
it's a great feeling. Do you who yeah, what did you were you always into electronic music, or did you have any earlier inspirations? I come from a rock and roll background. I have a pretty diverse taste in music, but I'd like to know yours.
Yeah, so I feel like when I started listening to music, probably, I don't know, middle school, I don't know if I listened to like much music consciously as a elementary school kid. But middle school I was probably listening to a lot of hip hop. Um and then I think I got into electronic music in high school. Skrillex definitely was coming up, Flux Pavilion. I was listening to like dubstep before I even knew like what that even was, that even that word. A lot of Flume, I think, Chami. Um, my way through electronic music kind of went from like main stage, as in like big room, Trying to think of some names like Axwell and Grosso and like um what's his name? Like Diplo, I probably saw at
Oh my god,
festivals.
I was a huge like I never saw him live, but I
Yeah.
really like his old stuff. His old stuff is so good.
Yeah, and then I think I got into like festival trap, like Brills and Yellow Claw, those guys.
Classic.
And then I made my way to like hybrid trap, got into bass house, or sorry, I got into like deep house, and then I got into bass house, like bass house. What's his name? Like Joyride. I don't know if that'd be considered bass house. That's more
That's
house.
yeah, yeah, I'd say. I think Bass
It's like
House, I don't
faster
know
house.
who I would
Yeah.
consider Bass House.
Um, and then I got into night bass, which is house, but it's just darker a little bit.
I like me some Night Bass.
Yeah. Night bass is sick. So I was a big Tyke New Light fan. AC Slater, those guys. I forget who else was very early in with night bass on that label. But then I was really into tear out dubstep, and then I was into rhythm when like very old rhythm. I'd say like I don't know, not that old, but at least 5, 6 years ago, I was like listening to that type of rhythm, like Infect and as a BIM or like those weird rhythm clans that they would have on SoundCloud, like what were they called? Like Pepsi Gang and like all these like gangs, these rhythm gangs. But that was a thing for at least 3 years. It's kind of when I got into mixing during like house before I even thought about producing, but then I had my chop phase, just mixing with my best friends, just like chopping rhythm tracks for hours on end.
I'm still in my chop phase.
Really?
I
That's
mean, not
funny.
rhythm. I chop. I like to chop bass music,
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, cool,
yeah.
yeah. But then I think I don't know who I discovered, but I just really the underground bass music, like freeform bass, experimental bass. I think Spicy Boys, that launch of that label really got me into that weirder bass music, and I've been here ever since. And that's probably been like 5 years at least since I've been listening to like that underground bass music.
Yeah. What are you drawn to? I guess the most about freeform bass music because I guess it feels like all of these genres and this path all roads lead to freeform bass sometimes. Like it's
Yeah,
uh
I think I think it's just how it's more flowier than tear out. Let's just compare to like tear out. Tear out's like very in your face. Rhythm definitely has a lot of flow to it, but it's still like very I don't know, like dissonant sometimes, unless it's like really, really good rhythm to my liking, which I can't really explain in words what that
right.
would be or artists. But that freeform bass stuff is just like definitely flowier. It's not as aggressive, so it kind of chills me out a little bit, even if it's harder. Um, but there's just something about it that has me listening to it all the time and producing it.
I have singled out a couple of your songs today, even though it was really difficult. The first one I singled out was "Catch Them." That one just really like it was really catchy. It caught me. Um,
Nice.
but then the three that I have here that just like really I don't know they really made my bones shiver was "Watch This," "Relax," and "Falling." Um,
Ooh,
And
yeah.
those are a little bit older on your discography, so I just kind of want to know like what was you can pick any one of them. What really Could I get the story behind one of those?
So you said relax falling,
And watch
and
this.
we'll watch this.
Yeah.
So when I started the Split project, I really was like DDD was my dream label. I wanted to do deep dub, um, but I kind of want to mix it with like more distorted basses. But DDD was my dream label, and I thought I wanted to do everything deep, so that's why those tracks are a little darker. But relax, like I made that. That was probably one of the first. I don't. Would you consider that deep dub? It's kind of deep dubby.
It's I don't know. I wouldn't consider it deep dub, but I it's very close. I think it rides the line.
Yeah, it's weird. I feel like maybe like Champion Sound would be deep dub.
Champion Sound is definitely more deep dubbier, deepier and dubbier than Relax in
Yeah.
my opinion.
But yeah, basically, I don't know. It's just kind of what I was going for at the time. Um, Sent Relax to, I messaged that to Do You Deep. That label had like just started. That's a sister label to Do You Digital, that Canadian-based label. And I sent it to them on SoundCloud messages. They commented on it. Small did. That's the label owner.
Oh no way. That
And
must have been a great feeling.
yeah, that was great because it was still like early on. I think that was one of my first label releases. So that was really cool. Watch This landed on No Hype Music. Shout out Kyle. Um, that was dope. That was my first release with them, and then I put out Killers with them last year. And then Falling landed on Aspire Higher. That was cool. Oh shit, wait. What's playing? Oops, sorry. I must have had the YouTube.
Oh, I haven't been hearing anything. Um,
Oh yeah, no, it played for some reason. The beginning, so started hearing dead motion. But yeah, Falling landed on Aspire Higher. I sent that through an email. That was cool. It's honestly one of my favorite tracks. I'm so glad you brought that up because I haven't played that in a set in a really long time. It's definitely one of my more favorite tracks, flowier tracks.
is there a
But
reason you
yeah,
haven't dropped it specifically?
um, not really.
Just wondering.
It's Yeah, I mean, I feel like my newer tracks, my newer unreleased tracks are very hard, and it's kind of what I want to do. I kind of want to have harder, very distorted, darker music that, can get people going, but at the same time isn't like tear out. Like, I don't think you're headbanging to my music, but I wouldn't be opposed if
No,
people were headbanging.
I was just convulsing on the floor personally. I was not really headbanging.
That's funny. Yeah. But yeah, that stuff's definitely a little softer compared to what I've put out, but it's got to make its way back into one of my sets because it's always good to have a softer, not softer, but just like a chiller track at times in sets, which I'm trying to work on actually. I got a I got some feedback. I did this lesson with Andrew from Turning and Sound. He was telling me we're going over an EP that I want to release this year, and he was telling me that the tracks were good, but it wouldn't hurt to have a melodic track in there, something a little chiller, something that didn't necessarily sound exactly like Split.
I think yeah, like
But
one that goes
yeah.
against the grain, like an outlier.
Right, yeah, and usually you do see that in EPs, like better EPs. There's a little, they all flow, but they're not all the same. They don't give the same emotion when people hear them. So it's something I'm trying to work on.
Well, I'd really like to dive into kind of the philosophy that you go into with your music and where you derived your name from. I mean, to me it sounds like you put, you know, a lot of thought into this project, and the name Split, and the logo. They all seem very Jungian, and they, a little deeper than surface level.
Yes.
What really came, or sorry, what helped come? Let me start over. What got the Split project its name? You know, what really is the meaning behind this? If someone's listening to your whole discography, I mean, much like I did, what would you want them to kind of get from your music, or your project?
So
Those were kind of two
let's
separate questions. You could start with
yeah,
the.
so yeah, let's start with the name. Pretty long story. I'll try to make it short though. So my last year, so I moved to LA, I went to Icon, and then I moved to Pasadena. I was living in a house with people, and then and during Icon I had two roommates as well. And then everyone moved out of that house in Pasadena. Everyone went their own ways. Some people weren't producing. I was still producing. And I decided to stay out in LA. I moved to Koreatown. And I was living by myself for the first time in my life. And I was in a really bad place. I started becoming less consistent with that crucifix project, and I was smoking like more than I've ever smoked before. I was barely sleeping because I was under this thought that like I was running out of time. Meanwhile, I was only, I don't know, what was I, like 22 or 20, not even 23 years old, and I thought I was like running out of time. And I was like super depressed, anxious all the time. I wasn't working, and I had this delusion, which I didn't know at the time it was a delusion, but I had this delusion that my upstairs neighbors like hated me. And then I started to believe that I was being like watched or listened to and shit. And one night, these upstairs neighbors, a man and a woman, entered my mind. And since February of 2022, I've had voices that narrate my day, comment on it, you know, not as much anymore, but tell me to do things and stuff like that. It was super scary. Had this manic episode, which might have been why it happened, but I finally moved home. I got back home to New York, and I attended this outpatient program. Um, and I was just under supervision with different medications and stuff, trying to get these voices to go away or just you know be easier to handle. And I was journaling a lot. I was meditating a lot. I was trying everything you can name. And I came up with the name Split because basically I gave up on that crucifix project. It kind of just wasn't even a thing anymore. I hadn't put out music in like 6 months or something like that. And I came up with this name Split in one day in one of the uh, you know, classes, seminar things that you go to in outpatient programs. And I came up with this name Split. I was brainstorming names and I was drawing and stuff. And I basically came up with that name Split, and I was like, wow, I haven't heard of a split before, and I think this really speaks to how I feel. And on the logo, it kind of feels with I kind of feel like I'm the person inside, and I have these faces. I'm basically with my man and the woman voice, and I kind of feel like I'm all together with it, but at the same time, I kind of feel separate from them. But yeah, so since then, it's been a little bit of a struggle, but I've gotten used to it. I know how to cope with it. And yeah, that's pretty much how I got that name. I plan my move out to Denver It was definitely a life-changing thing, and I couldn't be happier that it happened.
Wow. I am I that is a very interesting story, and I can't say have come across anything similar in any. No one's ever told me anything like that.
Yeah,
Very.
it's pretty personal. I honestly haven't told many people, but when I talked with my visual artist when we were making this, he did tell me that he's like, you should come up with a way to tell people how you got your name because like one day you're going to be asked, and it's kind of hard to tell someone where I got my name without actually like telling them exactly what happened. So over the years, I've, in personal conversations with people that I've met, and, they ask me, I kind of give them a little bit of what happened. I kind of just, you know, tell them my voices that kind of made me come up with the name Split. But very few people know, obviously more now, but I think we only got like friends and family watching.
Yeah, yeah. Currently, well, I want to say as a fan personally, I really appreciate you sharing that. That insight is going to make me look at your music differently, and I'm very appreciative of the intent behind your artwork and your sound and your project because that's what I think makes a great artist and a great yeah, a great project nowadays. I think it's a lost kind of a lost talent or a lost art. I don't think people make as much work with intent. I think it's more of like a content factory setting or a mindset nowadays. So, um, really, that's made me a bigger fan of your work, and I appreciate you sharing that with the fam.
Yeah, of course, of course. That thank you. That means a lot, and thanks for giving me a platform to, do that.
Um, I guess this would be a really good segue into your really deep, dark, and dangerous sound design. How do you would you do you have any secrets, go to methods for um your songwriting? How do you encapsulate you know the the split mindset into your projects when you start them?
So, that's a little hard. I always try to channel how I'm feeling, which is usually, you know, I'm always in like my music kind of sounds like it's someone's making it like pissed off or something, but it's not like that. It's just kind of, I don't know. It's weird that I always turn to like very distorted music and I'm never trying to make anything soft and stuff. But wait, so your question, oh yeah, my behind the secrets or whatever behind
Yeah,
my
like
thing. I don't really have any secrets. I like to tell people to, if you're trying to get a very distorted sound, I like to do that within the synth itself. So I feel like a lot of people, you know, do all their post processing outside of the synth. So I use Serum a lot mainly, and I'll just distort it to my liking in Serum instead of trying to do it all after, because you know, I don't know, it just feels better doing it within the patch because then you don't need a lot of post processing. I still post process a lot after that just to, clip it all out, get it louder, and further polish the sound, clean it up and stuff. But I don't really have any crazy secrets. I don't do anything necessarily crazy. I
I think I
just
could
have,
ask a better question, which is what's
yeah,
the most important process? What would you say the most important process is for getting a good design in your opinion? Since
I would say destroying it as much as possible and then, pulling off of destroying it to your liking.
interesting.
Um, so I don't know, but that's just me. That's how I get my sound. I kind of try to distort something as much as possible, get some crazy fills and stuff, and then pull off on all the distortion a little bit and, just play with that. Obviously, after that, I most of the time separate the sub. I just make an instrument rack and I duplicate the chain, and then I take all of my processing off except for the EQs. I flip the EQs to be um, low pass EQs, low pass shelves, and I just put a limiter on the end to just push it into that without seeing any gain reduction, just like just before. And then I go inside the patch and I turn off all the effects as well. Sometimes I'm still at a weird uh understanding of whether or not I should saturate or distort my sub a little bit, because sometimes I've modulation within the synth on like the LFO to uh the distortion, and it helps it move up and down in volume. So if you have wubs, something wubby, then you kind of want the sub to also be wubby instead of just like a straight note. But I've also heard at the same time that you don't want to distort your sub to keep it as clean as possible and stuff, but it does sound more full when you distort it more fat. Um, so I'm still learning about stuff, but that's kind
Learn
of my process.
learn the rules like a pro, break them like an artist. I think that's exactly what you're doing. Add that distortion.
Yeah. Yeah, it's totally fun. I'm under this uh thought. I just don't understand why some people don't like distort their shit a lot, but I totally get it at the same time.
Well, there are
Personally,
rules like for
yeah,
genres. Like once a genre gets created, all of a sudden now there's like a formula for it.
yeah. I'm just like in love with that. I'm just in love with like destroying sounds and seeing what sounds good and what doesn't still. Um, and it's just like weird to me that some people aren't also into that, but I totally get why they're not, if that makes sense.
I'm really impressed by your kind of diligentness, or yeah, your how diligent you are in remaining creative, but also putting out a ton of work here. So for me, I feel like I can force myself to put out like a beat or make a song, but I feel like my best work is really when I'm in a hyper creative flow, um, and it really seems like you're doing both at the same time seamlessly, and I'm impressed.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, definitely.
How do you how
I
much
try
time?
to.
Oh, sorry, no, I cut you off.
No, I try to feel like I used to be more creative. Now knowing that I know exactly what I want, it kind of almost limits me to trying new stuff, if that makes sense. But I still would rather be where I'm at now than where I was at in the past. I do miss trying like some, I don't know. I feel like I just used to be more creative when I used to know less.
I think that's a pretty good observation. I feel similarly, but I think I've overcome that. Uh, the way that I look at music and EDM nowadays is that I view sound as an ocean, and I kind of feel like it's infinite. We really are like it's you can just dig and or you can explore essentially, and I just kind of I see it as so open ended, and um I really went through a phase where all of I noticed how good the tools for music production were getting. I mean, and it only gets cheaper and more accessible and better. And at one point, to me, it kind of felt like cheating, and it kind of felt like I didn't want to make music because I wasn't, essentially I could get to a level where I could just put in a bunch of patches. Like not a lot of input was required, and it felt like everything was getting a lot more formulaic. But then I started thinking that, well, as an artist, if you're, as your tools improve, so should your standards, which ultimately is going to drive me insane. I know that. But I think that now I kind of view all of these tools as um, an asset to be used to to my highest standard rather than a cheat code to reach a genre.
Interesting. Yeah, I like that. What were you gonna say earlier? Were you...
I don't exactly remember. Because
Okay, word.
I've got some notes here. Yeah, and like I kind of got lost in that one. I'm one bowl deep right now. I won't lie. So that also did not help.
I'm just ripping a cart, honestly.
Little carts. Yeah, I'm traveling soon, so I gotta grab a cart before I leave. Normally I
Oh,
do.
where to?
Oh, back home to DC. There's a little family reunion going on.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, super
It's always
stoked.
nice seeing family.
Really, yeah, really is. I'm very excited. I don't really like going home for the holidays, so I kind of skipped it this year, but I always kind of make up for it by going back in January to see them. Um,
Nice.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, no, I. So you said you mainly, I mean, on the tools of music production, you mainly use Serum, as like for your synth design.
Yeah, so that's always my main where I go first. I used to be a big Vital guy for I'd say like a year straight. I was like just on Vital.
I'm a big
So,
Vital fan. What made you go
yeah.
back to Serum ultimately?
Um I just like I kind of like the distortion better in Serum. There's more options. Vital was a little like cleaner to me. I don't know if it was just like a psychological thing, but sometimes I felt like I made sounds in Vital that in Serum wouldn't sound as clean. It probably was just mental, but that's why I was on Vital for a while. And then I just went back to Serum because I was kind of explored enough in Vital and I hadn't used Serum in a long time, but I didn't miss anything in particular before I moved
Gotcha.
back. So I still use Vital sometimes. I got Phase Plant a little bit ago that I use a lot for Atmos. Um, they have really good presets in Phase Plant. And then I'm trying to get into Current. I also have Current, which is minimal audios, and I was just using it like yesterday. It's definitely really cool. I just haven't given myself the time to explore it enough, but they literally have like a granular synthesis page or whatever inside the synth, um, which you could just use as like a sampler too. Um, what else do they got? I think that's the biggest difference between something like Serum and Current, which is that granular synthesis option, which you can just drag and drop any sample into. So it's really cool. And I always forget, but yeah, I want to start using that more.
Do you produce with any hardware when you're writing?
No, I do not. I wanted to I actually used to one of my friends gave me a distortion guitar pedal a while ago and then it just like stopped working. But I used it through I like MIDI'd it out or something into my interface and that's how I was using it. And then you can use the external audio effect thing in Ableton and you just route it to there. But then you just gotta like resample basically.
Oh,
And I
interesting.
kind of like working with MIDI a little better. Actually, I think you probably still could. I didn't explore it enough or use it enough, but why I'm saying this is I really want to get another one or like a couple of them because someone could only really, you'd get something pretty unique. Most people are using like digital sounding stuff, but we'll see if that ever happens. Would be cool. They're not too expensive.
And nothing like any controllers or anything like that, like
No, like Ableton Push or anything.
or yeah, or an MPC or something.
Nah, I've wanted to get an MPC though. I kind of want to do something different with live performances. I'd actually love to use Ableton. I just haven't looked into it enough, but I feel like it'd be a lot more interesting using Ableton to DJ.
Do you have like a dream setup with that, or just kind of like you just need to put in the time to like figure out exactly how to use it? Because live
Yeah,
looping
just
is, I mean, the
yeah,
push is a really good tool for that person, or I've seen.
yeah. I think the you could do that with the MPC too. It would just be sick to like, you know, you you know how like you there's that texture mode warping.
Yeah,
It'd be cool to like start a set like that, and you can't do that with, a mixer
yeah,
like a CD, one of the Nexus mixers or whatever, one of the Pioneer mixers. It'd be cool to use. We're so good at producing and inside Ableton, but not a lot of us use that to our advantage during our live sets. And I think everyone would have a lot more interesting sets if we did that. But, I'm saying that even as someone who doesn't. So,
yeah.
yeah.
I think I've had some really interesting ideas as far as pushing like live mixing. In my opinion, I've got a dream setup that involves like an XCJ and a Denon, and like a vinyl turntable. Like I just like getting crazy with it. Um,
Yeah, vinyl would be cool.
I can't like do real or I actually do live sampling with a I've been doing this recently. I just have a record player, and with the XDJ that I have, you can't use channel 3 or 4 without a record box, and I refuse. So I plugged in a um my turntable, and I just been putting on. I've got some LPs of like comedy skits, and I've just been like live sampling, like getting shit on like I can't scratch or control what's going on the turntable, but I just kind of pick these moments in between my songs. So that's how I've been using my third deck. And I really want to do that live. Like I've done it with like SpongeBob. I've done it with Bill Cosby. I'm gonna edit that
Oh,
part
shit,
out.
cool.
But
Nice.
yeah, it's I think I've learned it's a really cool way to learn about timing when it comes to the effects, and yeah, that's just something I've been doing recently. I really like pushing live mixing a lot.
Yeah, yeah, it would totally be dope. And just make it more interesting for us, because unless you're mixing with like 4 decks, it sometimes gets a little boring,
I'd agree.
mixing.
Have you ever done any like crazy back to back sets, like with where you got like 3 or 4 people up on there?
I've done like shorter back-to-backs at like afters with some people, but nothing for like a long while that I've been on like a lineup for or anything.
So I had this idea, and I want you to tell me if you think it would work, or just your opinion on it. Where it was like, so I went to Easy Bake. This was like the last memory I have of like something similar happening. But there were like, I swear to God, 8 people on stage at the end of the night, just like a back to back. And I come, I don't know. I really like live music, and I really wanted to be a guitar player when I was younger. I wanted to be a rock and roll star. I wanted to be a part of a band, and my initial instinct when I see 8 people on stage is like, bro, I'm a DJ. I know this like it's hard enough to have 3 people up on there like trying to use a controller. Like no one's doing anything when you have 8 people up on there. Um, and so
Yeah.
I thought like it would be really cool to have 2 separate mixers, like essentially like two XDJs or a CDJ setup, and then like a third mixer like in between them as like a designated person to control the mixes between the two.
Wait, so wait, so explain the layout like
So
left to right.
so then it would be uh for example XDJ on your left, and then that gets routed to the right of that. So then the next in the sequence would be a 4 channel mixer, It doesn't need to have jog wheels. It can just be like the mixer, with the effects and
Hmm.
everything. And then to the right of that, next in the sequence, would be like another XDJ. And if you guys are all, kind of agreeing on a tempo, which I imagine would be the hardest part about this setup, I think you could actually get a back to back performance where people are like doing things, like actually being able to express themselves creatively and have like live performance being incorporated.
Yeah, that'd be super sick. So the person who is mixing, wait, so would there still be like four decks for uh like
I
CDJs?
I was I said XDJs in the example because I feel like it's a little easier to picture. So it's like XDJ, so like jog wheels, mixer, and then that gets routed.
Oh, you mean like an XDJ controller? My bad. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so
Oh,
that
I see
way
what you're
you could
saying.
have like two people on one XDJ, two people on another XDJ, and you can have like someone on that middle mixer, like mixing everything together.
I feel like it would like putting it in a realistic sense, it would be super hard to set up, especially if it's like a back to back after the show. You would have to have like I guess you could have like an intermission or something. But realistically, I don't know
It seems
if
it's overkill, but I just like I mean, I feel like we could, and I feel like I've been to enough
yeah,
shows
definitely.
where there are like legitimately like 5 to 6 to 8 people on stage at a time, and I'm like,
Yeah, it's
could
super
we?
hard to yeah. And then people always try to hog the decks too, so it would be a good idea.
It was a stoned thought, but I think it could work, and I really want to try it out. But I don't have 3 Pioneer mixers to
Right.
like link together. I
Yeah, I
need a
don't
little
have
money for
I just
that.
got an XDJ XZ. I'm actually thinking of getting I want to get a third deck to it like you were saying before. You got to use like a laptop and record box to use that third and fourth deck.
Yeah,
But I'm trying to get a one of those XDJ standalone um whatever, not mixers, I don't even know what they would call that.
standalone controller. I have the XZ, the XDJ XZ is what I
But
have.
they make something, it's like an XDJ, but it's just the deck. It's like an XDJ deck. It's not a
Oh,
controller.
oh,
Have you ever seen those?
I think I have, but are they
Look,
new? Are
look.
they?
No, they're not new. Look
Yeah,
up
that's what I thought.
yeah, look up XDJ 1000 or like XDJ 700. They basically are the same thing as CDJs. The only difference I can think of is there's no CD slot, and maybe the software is different, but they're about, I don't know, at least over half as cheap. I mean, I'm not using the CD slot,
Oh yeah,
so
me neither.
I
Wait,
don't.
that's wild. I didn't realize that the XDJ was. I knew that there was a another like deck that wasn't the CDJ, but I just totally didn't realize that it was also called the
Yeah,
XDJ.
yeah, they're totally would be dope to get. I just don't know if I should get the
Oh, I remember. Okay,
1000 or the 700.
I played a set on some XDJs one time, and I remember I was like so fucked because I didn't. That was the first time I'd ever used a deck, a Pioneer deck that didn't have Q points.
Oh, it doesn't have key points?
Yeah, I'm pretty. Or the
Oh
XDJ
shit.
1000 I'm looking at right here. I'm pretty sure I remember using these, and there was no Q points on
Oh shit. That'd be sketchy.
them.
Have you ever mixed on the what were they're like the old CDJ 2000s?
Yeah, not like
Like
before
the
the
originals?
Nexus.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those
yeah.
are weird. I did this like bowling alley show and they had these and they were like laggy and a bunch of songs weren't loading up and I don't think they show the hot cues on them. It was something like that really bothered me and it made it really hard. Oh, and they only have the when you are using like the Nexus 2000s, do you what like what's it called? You know those like bar rectangle things, or you can use the lines to line up a track at the
Yeah.
top.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Which of those do you like?
Um, I think I prefer the lines, but
Yeah, same.
just because. Um,
Yeah, I don't think they had the line on those. Like, there's no option. So it was like super weird. With the bars, it's like you might be on it, but you might also not be on it. So it's super sketchy. But with the lines, like they can perfectly line up. So as long as your beat grids are set, then it's all right. Um,
do you like 3000s? I'm sure like
yeah,
they're nice and shiny and the big screen is really nice.
yeah, and you can also see the waveform on top of the other waveform.
Yeah, that's I think got to be the biggest improvement they've made so far with that software.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I definitely like the 3000 better. But yeah, and
It's hard not to
also
like them except for the record box part.
yeah, and I've had a lot of on CDJ 2000s. I've had some tracks not show up. Like I have this vector track called Try to Feel, and it's either a six, I think it's a 24-bit wave 44.1, and it didn't load up this last show I played.
Ugh.
And I'm stupid enough because it's happened to me before, but it's hard to like remember which song, but I'm not forgetting now. And it sucks when you like make a set or something and then you can't play it the way you want to do it.
Yeah, the software on the CDJs, my XDJ Pioneer in general is my biggest gripe. I don't know if Denon is much better, but uh, I've been looking at Denon hardware because of that. Essentially, I don't like as much as I love, or how shiny and cool the 3000s are. I can't like deal with record box or like that. Like it's cool, it's really nice, but that is a consistent issue that I've run into like on like almost every single set I've ever played. Is like I'm consistently making sure that I have correct file formats, and then like there's always something that doesn't load, and I'm like, I don't know, like should I,
I know
why?
it's super weird. Like I have no idea why that this track wouldn't have loaded up. It's super weird because it loads up on my XDJ and it loads up on 3000s, but then it says file type not supported. And I've seen other people post about it, but I've never come to a conclusion as to why.
My
It's got to be a
cynicism,
reason.
my cynicism is just that I don't like record box. I imagine that it's I will just blame record box so I don't have to think about it. Essentially,
That's funny. Um, but yeah, that shit's super annoying. Um, it's definitely, I definitely got to fix that. Do
do you,
software updates. All the venues need to do like software updates on their stuff.
there needs to be an inspection team. Um,
That'd be sick.
would you say you spend less time kind of DJing or sorry, practicing your DJ chops now and like more production?
Yeah, definitely. That's yeah,
Does
100%.
does that impact your live? I mean, like, there's so much you got to do as an artist nowadays. But like, does that how does that impact your live performance? Do you play songs out? Do you like to try and get real handsy up there? Um,
Yeah, so I think that I always love to have new tracks to play out or just as many original tracks that are, up to my standard that I think people would like as possible. It's, people are there to see you and your music, so it's nice to give them that. So that's why I totally, it's probably a big inspiration behind my music and motivation, for that next show. How many new songs could I have that are, up to that standard? But I do practice. I only really practice mixing if I have a weird urge to mix, so I'll just freestyle a set or whatever. But when I'm coming up with, I do like to make sets for my shows. Some people just freestyle, which I've been thinking recently I might start doing because it's just a lot less stress. Um,
I've seen
and it's
people
just
or like
faster.
big artists sometimes they'll advertise a freestyle set, like separate from
Right.
their normal projects is I think the implication.
Yeah, some people like that. It's
Um,
definitely nice.
but you plan out your sets. You kind of have a lot more intention to know the order of where things are going.
Yeah, I just like to, it just makes sense to me to give people the best, you know, your best set possible that you could do at that moment. So putting thought behind it, I think people maybe they don't have the thought, be like, oh yeah, he definitely planned the set or something, which isn't necessary, but it's nice to, really think about how people would feel if you transition that way or this way or another way.
So is it the full
It's cool,
transitions that you're planning or more the song order?
like song order.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Um,
um
yeah.
I'd imagine there's still some room for some creativity or not just unpredictability. I think is the word I was looking for.
Right. Yeah. You can't fully know. You can't get like anything perfect just doing song order. You could figure out where you're transitioning, but there's always everything you could do in the middle or on top of tracks. But it does, I don't know, it just helps with like anxiety that I get for being like, oh shit, I'm not ready or something like that. But I have been thinking recently that I might just freestyle sets. If I was playing completely all original sets, which I've done an all original set once, but it was a 30-minute set. Um, I think I could do an all original set and I wouldn't mind just freestyling because I just know the songs and I
Right.
know exactly what would work best after whatever it was before. But I don't have an hour's worth of newer tracks that really speak to what I like and what I really want to play. So I haven't done an hour all original set yet. But that is a very big goal of mine. But I think it's gonna take me at least another year. Hopefully, we'll see all original 1 hour split set in 2026.
Well, I'm ready for it. This is kind of a weird question. Do you have any? I kind of wrote it down as musical regrets. Like, is there any song where you kind of hear something and you're still like, I should have changed that.
Um, yes, but I can't think of some a song in particular, but there definitely is something I kind of get over it after a little bit. But there is stuff that I've put out where I'm like, oh, like why did I keep that fill or like why did I not stop that bass into that fill a little earlier? And what's nice about SoundCloud is you could just replace the file, but once you put it out, you should just forget about it, especially if a song's like performing well and people like it. Like
Yeah.
just don't even worry about it anymore.
Do you think that's I mean, in that case, do you get it with like a lot of the songs where you're just like forever learning, but you just kind of have to let go of things sometimes?
Yeah, definitely. You really do. I think I'm always happy with what I'm putting out, and I always put out something very happy with it. I don't put out songs like I don't make a song and then plan it for to put out the next month. So I always go back to songs and like do final changes. I don't necessarily remix them, but I definitely go back over and probably do changes that no one's gonna hear. Sometimes make them worse, which is the worst feeling. That is the worst. You like spend 3 more hours on a track after it's done, and then you're like, wait, this is not as good as it was before, and you like kind of can't go back. So yeah.
Yeah, that's sometimes you don't hit it on the mark. uh, but are you how when would you say that you've spent enough time on a song, I guess? Like how much time on average do you spend on a song? And then what kind of makes you determine if you want to release it, or if you just kind of want to keep it?
Um, it really it really depends because sometimes I'll make a song like a full song in like 5, 6 hours, but I still have to go back to that song and have a few more sessions with it. Just do like very minor mixing stuff, getting levels right, and like the sub to where I want it to be at. Um, and it's also nice to take a break from something and then come back to it with a fresh mind, not thinking or listening to it after a while. There's always something that could be made better. But some songs I'll probably put I don't know, like 20 hours into. I think once you get tired of a song, you should either just, especially if it's done and you're like tired of working on it, then the track is done. Or just, take like a full month off from it or a couple weeks and come back to it. That always helps. But if you're really tired of a song, then there's not a point to put it out anymore. It probably either means you shouldn't or you should actually just release it.
Oh, what do you? I mean, do you keep any? If you decide you're going to release a song, do you have any curriculum as to what gets it? If you're going to submit it for a label, or if you want to self-release it?
So ever since I started the Split project, I knew because I never like switched my old project to my new Split account. So started at 0 and I was like, wow, I really need label releases to, grow fast. It's not really that smart to self-release, until I have enough reach where people will see it enough and I'll be happy with the results to a degree. Um, but I usually use my better songs for label releases, because they reach more people. I mean, labels are in repost chains, they have a lot of followers, usually more than you do, and that all comes together to give you a bigger reach. Some repost chains could get you from whatever your follower count is to like a million, like showing on someone's stream on SoundCloud. So those are good. But personally, I'm not in a repost chain. So to me, it doesn't seem like a very smart thing to do to self-release, but now I got I got like 2,100 followers, so my reach is definitely better than when I had under 1,000, obviously. So I've been self-releasing. I honestly haven't self-released that much stuff. Still trying to get stuff onto labels, but all my flips are obviously self-released. Dead Motion I self-released. Not Champion Sound I self-released. Not many other things though. Not many other songs.
I think that's
So
very
yeah,
smart. Yeah, no, that's smart. Absolutely, using them to. I mean, where would these new artists, be getting their followers? It's really awesome that good labels are putting people on. Um,
yeah, that is the. I'm in a predicament currently though about whether to self-release or put out self-release or put this EP out on a label. I've been denied. I guess I could say the label name. So I've been denied from. I'm trying to get, for context, I'm trying to get at least 4 songs put out on a label, and I've been denied from. Earth Hurts, Low and High, Street Ritual, Headbang Society.
All the same
I
EP?
Oh, and Wavecraft. Yeah, all the same like 10 tracks that I've submitted.
Oh wow. That's
Yeah.
what's have they been giving you feedback at
No,
all?
usually you just don't get a response, but or the response will just be like, "Hey, sorry, it's not fitting with what we're putting out at the moment." It's kind of either that or you just don't get an email back. Um, so I haven't, you don't, it's hard because you don't really know why. But at the same time, you don't want to change stuff just to get onto a label. It's really nice when a song you really love, a label really loves it as well, and like they don't ask you to change it. I've actually been asked, I put out a song on, and they asked me to make it shorter, which was very interesting. It was a long song, and they asked me if I could make one of the drop shorter, which I ended up doing because it was really early on. Um, so I did that, but I mean, fuck that shit. It's like,
Well,
just if you like the song,
that was in part why I asked the question because I would imagine that I mean I think your answer was cool. I would imagine that I would want to kind of do anything to get on if that was my only goal was to get on the label, I'd be like, yeah, sure, I'll do whatever you want. But
yeah,
if your goal is to have music that really touches or is your song, and is your sound to reach as many people as possible, then yeah, it's more important to find a good fit and not have to change anything.
yeah. I also had a label, they only accepted 2 tracks and they wanted to put out the 2 tracks, and I was like, hey, you know, I want to put out like 4 or 5 tracks. Like, can you guys accept 2 more? And then I actually ended up not landing any tracks on that label, um, which is still kind of funny to me. But yeah, I missed out there. You can't ask for too much with labels. They have they have stuff to go by, and
They got
if
quotas.
it's yeah, it doesn't always match with what they put out. Every label kind of has a sound, or the better labels do. Um, but I just have a very specific vision for this 5 track EP that I want to put out. Like, I know the order and stuff. And I was talking to Andrew from Turney, and he was like, you're not gonna get those those tracks like in that order from a label. It's like very rare for a label to want to do the exact same thing. Um, so yeah, I think I'm just gonna self-release. I just gotta come up with a schedule and how to roll it out. I don't want to just drop all 5 tracks at once. It's not too smart.
You want to do
Um,
like a waterfall release or like a rolling rollout?
yeah, not completely. Maybe I'll release like 2 tracks at first, and then I'll just put out all 5. Um, Something like that. But we'll see. I might send it to a couple more labels. We'll see if I wanna. I just don't want to release on one of the labels I've released in the past. Or that's wrong because I did send a Low and High again. Um, but yeah, for the most part, I'd want to get into a new label.
What's your vision for this EP? You said you got an order, and what is this? Is there like a little story or any context for it that
No, there's not too much of a story behind it. I think the order feels right. Um, I don't know necessarily why, though. I got a track with vocals in there. Um, the first track has, you know, chiller intro, and I think it flows really well. But, it's just wild to me that some other people or the labels don't think that.
yeah
But I
that
get it, though. I get it. I totally get it. And I respect it. So it's all right.
Speaking of stories, I mean, your latest release is bonkers, the tie dye Kai remix, and there's like a really nice vocal of someone telling a really nice story in that song. So, I mean, that's an awesome track. What could you, yeah, spill some of the beans on that? I'd really like to know how that track came to be, came along,
Yeah,
and some of the sound design.
yeah, yeah. So the original track, I I love the original track, but ever since I heard it, I was like kind of disappointed with the drop. And it's tie-dye Kai. He does a lot of different things, and I got it in this uh uh album or EP that it's off of Hound. And or wait, what's it called again? I just want to be right about that. I think Hound's yeah, it's called Hound. Yeah, the album's called Hound. But it flowed nicely in the album, and I get why the drop's like that. But I really love the vocals and everything, and I always envisioned a harder drop for it. And I tried to flip this track like 3 or 4 separate times, and I finally came up with a bass that sounded good and an idea, and I was in the right mindset, and everything was flowing, and it finally happened. But it's one of me and my girlfriend's like favorite tie-dye Kai tracks. I kind of made it for her partly too.
That's awesome. Tie Dye Kai
Yeah,
is a very cool artist. Very, very cool.
yeah, very unique, and I do like his older shit better, of course, but
Kind
I
of have to
do
agree with
like
you there.
yeah.
Uh,
It's just like I wish he kept a lot like in the new album he just put out. He put out they want to dance, which is probably like the only harder track on that album. I was hoping to see at least a couple more, but I still do really like his instrumental acoustic songs. They just don't speak as much to me.
yeah, yeah, I agree. And it's cool. But that the thing is, I really appreciate him as an artist because he is willing to push kind of like his creative boundaries and keep his fan base invested in his journey, which I think is very respectable. Personally, though, my favorite song of his is Frank's song. Have you heard that one?
Yeah, Frank's track that
Frank's track, yeah,
yeah,
sorry. Yeah.
yeah.
That's my favorite one. That one makes me tear up almost every single time.
Yeah, it's awesome. I put that in a set before. I ended on that one time. Such a good track.
It's beautiful. And so I heard I heard the Tie Dye Kai remix in your unreleased 2025 mix and I was super stoked. I'm glad that you put it out so fast.
I know. I actually couldn't come up with a release this month because I had these 10 tracks, 10 of my best tracks put out to sent out to labels. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do a flip again. People have been liking the flips. I actually just started this vector one. I love making flips. I
I saw that
really
on your
love
story
making
today. You
flips.
were making a vector flip.
Yeah, yeah, the vector flip is started. It's not finished yet, but yeah, that shit's sick. I really like that one. First time I've or I guess I did it in the shades flip, but first time I really just chopped up and played with the original sample uh of like audio file inside Ableton. I threw that into like sampler and just did different like stutters with it. Got the vocal over the bass and like I don't know. I just got to use sampler more, but it's super sick how you can just take any part of a song and like just use the MIDI part of it to like
Yeah.
make it repeat, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like easier sometimes. And I was like, wow, I got to use sampler more.
There was Minnesota's Eclipse set. He kind of starts off with like this really crazy granular um sample or like granular sampling where it's all like he's just playing with like the beginning and ending of like the start of like a phrase, and it was one of the coolest things I'd ever heard. So
Yeah,
that
that's sick.
definitely hear what you're saying there.
Should we listen to the you want to listen to the vector flip?
I would love to, please.
All right. The I can send you the link. Would that work?
Yeah, that works.
Okay. Let me send it.
Great. And yeah, no, I've been listening to a little bit of Vector recently because my roommate works in stage production, and he was like, "Yeah, we're potentially doing something with Vector," and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Oh, that's
Yeah.
sick. Yeah, I love Vector. He's probably my biggest inspiration for the longest period of time. Done some lessons with him a couple times before.
Oh no way, that's
Really cool
really
dude.
cool.
But finally got to flipping a track of his. I don't know if you know the original. Definitely one of my favorite Vector tracks.
I can't say I know it off the top of my head, but I'm excited to hear the split version.
Cool.
Um,
Yeah, let's.
Sweet. I don't think you have to mute yourself for it. Just you'll be talking over the track. I'm gonna play it in about three, two, one. Okay, I paused it. I totally know this track.
Okay, sick. Yeah, it's definitely one of his more popular tracks.
Here we go.
Get busy. Yo. Fuck up your face.
Ew. That was gross. That was so good. That was sick, dude.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm super hype on that one. I can't wait to finish it. I gotta hopefully I'll finish it tonight.
I really like how it the there's not like an obvious drop. Like it just builds up into this really hard beat, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, technically that once it like drops and the drums come in, I think it's only like 8 bars. It's mad funny. The original drop's like 16, but I did an 8 bar break. It was just the idea at the time, but it kind of worked out. The reverb and everything.
That's a really great remix. It's like this is another thing I'm impressed with. It's your style is consistent. Do you have like a specific library that you choose from, or is it just that over time you've kind of developed like a sample bank and a preset bank that's all just, your style?
So I don't have like a I don't save band stuff to audio and like throw it into a folder or anything. So I don't have many samples I reuse, but I definitely save my instrument racks that I make of basses from previous songs. So whenever I think of them, be like, oh, the bass from Dead Motion could work really well as a fill right here. Maybe I could do this or that with it, do some automation like that. And then once I have that idea, since I have them saved and tagged under like blue, you know how you can color code tags in Ableton.
Is that in? Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
So I just tag them as blue, and then I can just scroll through there or just search for them, and that's kind of how I stay a little consistent. I also feel like my process is a little bit of the same thing of how I process bases and approach making them in Serum.
That's so are you how much time, I guess on this track specifically, are you designing the bass rather than writing and arranging?
Ooh, so well for this track, basically everything that you heard was chopping up the original track and stems that I got.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Not like stems from a stem splitter.
Got it.
But like for that shades flip, I did a lot of sound design. Basically, what I did was I threw it through I got the bass stem from melody.ml sorry. Melody.ml, which is just a website, it's a stem splitter. Um, and it gives you vocals, drums, the instrumental, and the bass. And the bass came out really well. Honestly, I've had really good results with that. Only downside is the stems are MP3.
Whack.
Um,
What's the name of it?
yeah, I know.
Or okay,
Melody.ml.
okay, sweet.
And I've used that for a lot of stuff, but the shades flip, the second drop is all sound design of mine, but how I approached it was I just consolidated the like a bass sound from the original song in that bass stem, and then I threw it into Serum, and I just used that sample to cycle through the wavetable positions and just do modulation, and I did that instead of maybe like one bass in there is something that I made out of like inspiration while making it. But the first drop is all cutting up and processing of the original bass stem.
Sick. I think that's a really underrated way of making songs and music. I used to make these mashups more regularly, and I would always get some really insane sound design just by splicing.
Yeah, for real, I gotta do that more. Even with like my own basses, throwing them into Serum once they're already processed, or even if they have like drums over them, can get you really cool sounds. Processing things over and over.
Where do you what do you do for drums then? I would do you synthesize in Serum all your percussion, or do you
No,
sample?
I just use samples. I work with audio, so never do MIDI drums. I have before. I just like seeing the samples more so. Yeah, I used to do like hats in MIDI a while ago, but I don't. I use audio now, and then to add like velocity and stuff, I'll just edit the samples. What's it called? The level of the sample
Got it. Or like
in
the
the sample
fades maybe.
editor.
Or
Yeah, or that. Yeah, fades all the time. Yeah.
okay, cool. Yeah. That's always nice. I always feel like it's usually one or the other. Artists have a preference.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Do you
It's
think
what about you? Do you use audio
yeah,
or MIDI?
I tend to, but I use both actually, but it really depends on the project. I'm very much less consistent when it comes to my project. I have plans for a future project, but kind of what I'm doing now is a lot of experimentation. I hardly approach any song that I make the same way, or at least like there's no like really distinct pattern. I'm really open to starting songs in almost any different way from starting from a drum or starting from a sample, starting from a reverb. Just I'm really looking to be inspired by anything, but it does lead to a much less consistent overall brand and project. I don't even load up with a template I like at all.
Oh, for real.
Yeah.
Mine's pretty simple. I have like a drum group, my base group will just have like my sidechain on that group, like just like compressors, so I can readily sidechain the kick and snare. And then in that base group, I just have like instances of serum, vital, current, and phase plant, and then that's it. That's all I have that loads up.
Yeah. I think I would benefit. Yeah, I think I'd benefit from having a template. But I can say that procrastinating on that for so long has led to a lot of different ideas, actually. Because I never, like, I don't have those things in place. And sometimes I do them in the wrong order. And so sometimes I fuck it up and I'm like, oh, wait, that sounds interesting. And then it goes a completely other direction.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of how it works at first until you find it took me like nearly 6 years to start doing, start sounding a little consistent. Um, and yeah, so totally takes time. Some people find that and like find what they want to do in like 2 years though. So it's different for everybody.
I got this one kid in my Discord server who is just insane and like found his sound immediately. I swear to God, like he was
Okay.
he's a youngin. Shout out King Mango, he was on the show, but like he just watched Eliminate tutorials for like his entire teenage years, and boom, all of a sudden he's an absolutely cracked teenage producer.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's really good for I mean, not for no
Nice.
qualifiers. He's just fire, but he found his sound like real quick.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember listening to an EP of his, but it must have been like a year ago. I don't know. Maybe it was longer than that.
I've always been fast. I mean, for me, it took me a very long time, and like I said, I think I'm more confident in my quote unquote style than ever. I feel more creatively grounded than ever. But it really it took me a long time, and it doesn't. It's different for everybody. It's sometimes you really have to be comfortable with the journey, and that's not easy.
Yeah, I agree. Big time. It's definitely hard seeing other people succeed really early on, like just doing the same stuff.
I guess on more the business side of things, I'd like to know a little bit on what life is kind of looking like for you as a DJ or as someone who's actually getting some good numbers on the scene. Are you making any money from shows? Do what's your day job if you have one? You mentioned while we were in the green room, kind of that you were going back to school for finance, and I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, so I'm an audiovisual tech as well. Um, and then as far as making money from music and like shows, I mean, I probably have made like maybe $100 total from just streaming.
Oh,
Bandcamp, I've
interesting.
probably made
Yeah.
like $100 off people buying tracks. And then shows, most of that money goes towards like say I get a photographer to shoot or something.
Yeah.
It's basically my booking fee, or maybe the photographer is more than my booking fee. But yeah, so not really. Like I really haven't made much from music at all,
It's
sadly.
no, it's well, yeah, I mean sadly that's kind of the way the industry works, but it's very common. I mean most of the DJs I've had on this show really kind of shattered my reality of like, oh, like how realistic it was to make money doing this, but because of how much work goes into it, it really it's rough.
Yeah, it's definitely for the long term. Um, and I don't think people are seeing anything they want until your booking fee is super high. And if you're selling merch, that's selling. But besides that, I think maybe like lessons would be a big income for bigger artists.
I was gonna
Maybe
ask
lessons merch.
if you've ever considered lessons. You know, like you are an alumni. Has that ever crossed your mind as a way to make money doing music?
Yeah, so I've been hit up for lessons a few times. So I've given a few lessons to people, but I've never advertised about it. But I love lessons. I honestly wish I don't know if I would feel differently at that time, but as a bigger artist, I feel like I would be doing so many lessons just once. Um, I have that respect from other people, where people are like reaching out for lessons and stuff, or it gets to a point where I can, I guess I could post about it now, but I don't think many people would be like that interested. But yeah, I would love to do lessons. I love giving lessons. I really do. They're really dope, and I love taking lessons too.
You yeah, you mentioned Andrew from Turny and Sound is a mentor of yours. That's a really cool mentor to have. How did that get set up?
Yeah, so I've done a few sessions with him. He's really dope. He has definitely taught me a lot, even though we make different types of music. Just like insight from artists who have been in the scene for a while can really help. Um, so I think I just hit him up. I forget who told me he does less that he does lessons, or maybe I saw it advertised somewhere. But he's a really dope guy. And yeah, I love taking lessons from him. I forget how exactly that came about though. I think
Well,
anyone could take a lesson from him though.
yeah, well, I guess I mean how long have you guys been
I've
doing that?
done so the first time I met with him was last year sometime, probably last year in the fall or something. Um and then maybe earlier than oh no, sorry. I mean 2 years ago, so in 2023, I took a lesson from him for the first time, and then I've done I think I did like two or three with him, and then I just did one recently to talk about rolling out that EP and stuff. I've also done lessons with Copycat, Vector, Phaedra, and Mythum.
Did they all teach you different things? Like you got something unique from each one of those artists?
Yeah, kind of actually. I kind of went to Copycat to find out how to do a proper noise base. Vector kind of had a full lesson planned out, which was really nice. He just showed me his process. Mytham, I had some specific questions, and Phaedra, I was getting feedback on because he's close. He's one of the owners of Wavecraft, or he's very yeah, I think he's one of the founding owners of Wavecraft Collective, or at least is now. So their submissions are closed. So I was on there trying to get an EP with them, but yeah, nothing was accepted, which is fine. But he gives good lessons too. All those guys give good lessons.
Wow, it's an interesting age to be alive where you can just kind of hit up one of your favorite music producers and get a lesson from them.
I know. I wish I started doing it like way earlier on, because Icon taught me a lot, but a lot of like basic stuff. It's not like, oh, how to make bass music, stuff like that. Um, but when you go to these people and like you love their sound and stuff, it's really cool seeing their process and how they do things.
They're kind of giving you the cheat codes up front. They're like, "Hey, this is what you're going to learn in school, but this is how I do it because I already learned this in school."
Yeah, it's definitely a fast way to not spend all your time trying to resynthesize a sound that you really like. Um, but obviously cost money. So
Yes, yes. Um, I guess I yeah. Well. What do you think? This show's called I Can't Produce. I would like as much as anyone. I would like beginner producers and DJs to want to listen to the show. So I kind of want to ask, what's your expertise in? What do you think the most important move you can make as a beginner right now is?
like in having an artist project or just producing music.
I guess I want to. I'll ask about the artist project.
Probably focusing on producing rather than DJing. Definitely focusing on producing rather than playing shows that don't mean too much. Last year I tried to play as many shows as possible. Um, and I have tried to play as many shows as possible since moving to Denver. But I am gonna try to only accept bigger shows and stuff because a lot of, like I told you, I kind of planned my sets and a lot of time goes into that. So I think just focusing on production is good. The mixing will get there, but yeah, definitely be a producer first rather than a DJ.
Cool. I like that. I like that a lot. Do you have any dream collabs? Yeah, or like dream
Ooh,
performances
dream
that you'd like to.
collabs.
I'll start. Yeah, start dream collabs, and then I want to hear a dream performance, maybe.
Dream collabs. Vector, OK Jake, Stash. Controlla is probably my number one.
Ooh,
Uh, CNTRLLA. You probably know him though. He's sick. He is. I don't know why I have didn't mention him before, but he's definitely my biggest inspiration.
well, I will
I'm
definitely
actually
be.
trying to get something started with him. Starting off slow though.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But in terms of like venues, I think you also asked.
Venue or festival, or
Yeah,
yeah.
so I'd say Red Rocks, E Forest, Lost Lands,
Nice. Okay.
Cervantes is a next goal of mine.
I'm surprised you haven't played
And
Cervantes yet.
yeah, I'm not surprised, but I think I could definitely get on a shift Thursdays there. Um, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, it's a cool venue. I really like it there.
Yeah, it's always they always put on like 6 shows. Are you going to Vector on the 25th this weekend?
No, I'm traveling
Uh,
for some family stuff, so
oh,
I'll be out of town.
oh, true.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah, that
I
is
heard oh yeah, yeah, I think that was the show or the after party that my roommate was gonna do the stage build for. Um
oh, sick.
yeah, so that sounds awesome. I would love to go because I can usually snag a free ticket from my roomie.
Yeah, that's gonna be a sick show. I'm also super hyped for the Brick Squash show. They just announced the full lineup today. Saruda's on it. It's Brick Squash, Saruda, um, fuck, I forget the other people. There's like 2 or 3 more people on that lineup. Um, but those are the 2 biggest people.
Do you feel like you go to shows to network at all now? Like it's more business, to some degree, or just to kind of check out the music still? Because now I've gotten to a point where it's double bad if I don't make it to a show because I want my face, to be known on the scene a little bit.
Yeah, I think when I first moved out here, I was getting like at least 5 Instagrams a show.
Yeah.
Like it was one of my goals to really network when I got out here. And then this job I got had me working weekends. I couldn't go to shows as much anymore. And then I kind of stopped working weekends as much and now get to go to more shows. But networking should totally always be in your mind, but I don't think you should like or personally I am going to shows for the lineup for the music, but I always have, maybe I'll see so and so or like maybe I'll get to talk to this person, even if I already know them, or meet new people. It's always good. And like you said, it's good to show face. You know, it's always good to put yourself out there, even if you're not intending on talking to someone. It usually kind of just happens. The universe kind of just gives that to you.
Yeah, I really just I don't do well in all social situations, but when I'm at a bass show, it's better than most because I feel more comfortable with the people I'm around. I just kind of feel like I'm on the same wavelength. But if you know, I feel like sometimes also it's a hard balance to strike. Which sometimes I just want to go to a show and like listen to the music, but um, having chosen to do this line of work, I really just it's hard to turn off business mode.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, cool, my friend. Well, I'm out of questions that I have written down. I'd like to know if there's anything kind of you'd like to share or plug or um, or maybe I think I did have one last thing to ask, which is kind of this seems like a silly question, but on your 2025 unreleased mix, are you sending a lot of those songs to labels to see where it bites?
Yeah, so all the collabs aren't sent to labels, but 10 of the tracks on the unreleased mix are being sent out to labels. The collabs are still either in the works or done, and just haven't talked more with the collaborator about that. Me and Drazius are trying to do an EP together. And then I got the collab with Baruka that's still in the works. The Drop Talk one is nearly 100% finished. And then, I got those flips in there. But basically everything is sent out to labels,
That's
which
cool.
is
I
kind of where I fucked up a little, because I needed a release this month. But that's why I put out the mix in December instead of January.
Yeah.
But
Well, I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know why I didn't
there's
think of it, but that's a really I think that's a really smart release strategy. Because it's like a semi release on your page, and then you can also
right.
reap the benefits of getting a label release. So I think that's extra smart. I don't know why I didn't think about that beforehand.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and then is that answered your question,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. You got me. No,
Okay,
I
cool.
was yeah. I don't. That's really cool. I didn't think about that.
Maybe you want to listen to some unreleased?
I would love to. If we're gonna wrap things up,
Since
though, actually, no. Why don't you?
yeah.
I'd love to either play you out with an unreleased track, or we could listen to it and then I could play you out with something else.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I got like two tracks to share that aren't on the unreleased tape if you want to listen to
Oh my
those.
god, yeah, that would be sick. I would love to share that with the audience here. We got 9
Okay,
people
cool.
watching. What up? What up, crowd? What up, chat?
A
Yeah,
All right, this first one's with Bodie Beats. Shout out Bodie Beats. Hopefully in chat.
Bodie. All right, let's give her a whirl. Three, two, one.
You tell when you
I like it very much, but I don't give a fuck.
That was crazy. Unreleased, Split and Bodhi. Hell yeah. Fucking gnarly.
Let's go.
Where do you get your tracks mastered, by the way? Do you master them yourself or send them to a homie?
Yeah, I mastered them myself.
I nice. I do you kind of design your own mastering chain, or is it sorry, is it simple or is it kind of complicated?
It's no, it's very simple. I just use so I bounce the track, making sure it's not peaking over like -5 or something. And then I put into another project and I put on that track chain, I put an EQ, I do some parallel compression, I limit it, and then on the master track, I put another limiter and then I just meter there. So it's basically just EQ, some compression, and making it louder.
Is that would you apply that to like your genre or like, bass music, or is that just kind of like like a catch-all mastering chain right there?
I don't know because I haven't used that master with like other types of music, but I feel like it's like the most simple way to
Gotcha.
master a track.
I
I try to have my mixes where like I just need to make it louder.
I see. Yeah, I don't know much about mastering. I'd find it probably one of my weakest links. So that's why I was curious about that. Mixing is, fun, but takes forever and can make you tear your hair out.
Yeah, I would say don't go crazy about mastering as long as the mix sounds good. The master should sound good as long as you don't destroy it as much.
Well, hell yeah.
Um,
Were you kind of more on that first drop, or did you all split up the drops?
we actually did this whole track together on Zoom and like multiple
Dope.
Zoom. I think that track was actually all finished in one day.
No way.
One day and night. Yes, I
What?
swear. I
What?
swear. One day and night with like some changes, some like mixing changes
That's
the next
insane.
few days. But yeah, that was all over Zoom. We did that together.
That's
He started
crazy.
he originally sent me the idea and then yeah, we did that all together.
Dope.
It's really dope.
Yeah. No, that's super cool. 122 whip unreleased. Thank you heard it here first.
Seriously, heard it here first.
Well, my friend,
Um,
I'm not really sure where else to go from here, to be completely
that's all
honest.
right. Yeah, this has been dope.
It's been 2 hours that really did not feel like 2 hours. So I think that's a win in my book.
Hell yeah, yeah, that's crazy. I didn't even realize the time.
Well, Split, if there's anything you'd like to say to chat, if you could send me that one last unreleased, I'd love to play you out with that. But other than that, I think it'd
Okay,
be great
cool.
to wrap things up here. And I really appreciate you coming on the show and you know, just being genuine and oh, okay, I saw that. Yeah, but yeah, being genuine and opening up about your experiences and yeah, giving us the secret sauce to the Split project, man. Thank you as a fan. Fucking thank you.
Yeah, of course, bro. I really appreciate you having me, and thank you for everyone who tuned in. It's been really dope. And if I had one thing to say, I would say keep pushing and keep working really hard, and you will achieve anything you want to.
Heard that. Heard that. Um, any projects you want any our fans to look out for specifically?
That EP for sure. It's gonna be called either Distortion Theory, but Tape B took my name, or Echoes of Distortion, probably. Hopefully we'll see a release middle of this year. Also got a festival booking. Can't really say what it is. Nothing too crazy, but it is in Colorado, so I'm excited for that. It's
Sick.
gonna be in the summer.
Can you tell me off chat or off camera?
Yeah, I can tell you off chat.
All right, sick. All right, cool. Well, yeah, everybody, thank you for tuning in to I Can't Produce a Podcast. This has been episode number 33 with my homie Split. I've had a really good time. I learned a lot. I hope you did too. I'm gonna plug myself. Definitely go check out the Discord server. You can DM me and find all of the resources that you would need to become a decent producer, a half decent producer. But coming from someone who can't produce, I don't, it's you're taking a bet here. You're taking a risk here. So my name is braV. I really appreciate you tuning in. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. And until next time, internet. Peace.